What happens when you go to retire and you get a letter from OPM that says you don't have the service you thought you had? What are your actions? What are repercussions that you can take to get the pension that you're supposed to get? Stick with me in this video and I'm going to talk about number one, tips to avoid this, but number two, what are some of the best ways in dealing with OPM to correct a mistake in your pension? I'm Micah and this is the FERS Federal Fact Check. Today, our question is from Anthony, and Anthony's going to ask a question that a lot of us hope we never get in retirement. It's what happens when your pension's wrong after you've retired and you're getting less than you think. Anthony's question is, I retired early to come home and to care for my sick parents. At the time of my retirement in 2017, I found out that I was being penalized by my agency for 5 years because I opted out and wasn't paying into the retirement system at that time. I had all of my money going into TSP, and I was never told that I was going to take any hit for not contributing to the retirement system. Even at group sessions, they never mentioned it. This is not fair. Now that I hear that they're going to stop paying my first supplement in 1 year when I hit 62, what can I do to get my full 35 years without being penalized? Please help. You know, Anthony, I completely understand that. It's one of the biggest issues that I see with federal employees across the board is not really understanding their federal service, or potentially not all of their federal service counting towards retirement time. And that is the number one mistake I see again and again. And there's a couple things that need to be done. One, let's talk about your situation. Then two, let's talk about how to prevent this for our other federal employees that are still working. Unfortunately, because your retirement was several years ago, very limited options that you have. After your retirement is finalized or adjudicated by OPM, we have a very short window that we can appeal that decision and go back and contest time or be able to add more service time that's there. So had we been within that window, we probably would have been able to fight it, potentially go back and see if you could make a deposit for that time that was there. But just because you didn't pay into the system and nobody told you that, unfortunately doesn't give us grounds to go back years later and get that pension added back, so it increases your retirement. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news with that. That is the way it's set up. And you bring up an interesting point, it's not fair, but you know what we do want to take from this aspect is, as much as we can for our current federal employees that are working, we gotta make sure we're taking great responsibility and understanding what our retirement service computation date is. What is your RSCD? Your SCD is something you find in your LES, your leave and earnings statement, where it talks about what's the date to compute your service computation date for leave purposes only. But you need to find out what your RSCD is, your retirement service computation date. This is so important. In order to get this, I ask all my federal employees to go get an SF 3107-1. That is a form called a Certified Summary of Federal Service. What this form is designed to do, Anthony, is help with exactly the problem that you have and hopefully avoid it. I want you to get this while you're still working. And this is going to your HR, and your HR is going to fill out all of your creditable history that you have, and they're going to say what time counts for retirement, what time doesn't count for retirement. And this is really important to get it now. Get a stake in the ground and understand what service time you have. The second thing you got to do in order to avoid this situation is look at your SF50s. Your SF50s are notificational personnel action. SF50s are so important, and on the current ones that we're getting now in the SF50, you want to look in box number 30. In box number 30, it's going to say what type of retirement are you in? Are you in FERS and FICA? Well, great, that's awesome. That means you're paying into the FERS retirement system and FICA Social Security. Does it say FICA only? Uh-oh. We might have a problem. FICA only means you're not paying into the retirement system. That time probably doesn't count for retirement. So number one, you got to start off in getting your RSCD, retirement service computation date, by getting an SF 3107-1, certified summary of federal service. Number two, every year you got to be looking at those SF50s. You got to look in box number 30 and make sure that you're paying into the retirement system, because when you go to retire, OPM's not trying to be mean. I don't think they're trying to be vindictive and try to cut you out of years of service that you have. They only know what they know. They only know the information they received from your HR, and you are the only one that understands your retirement time. You are the only one that understands your service time that's gonna be there. And so you really gotta look at it and make sure that time counts for retirement. Another thing to kind of bring up right here, and we've had this happen with a couple of clients where life happens, like in Anthony's situation, where you're pulled away to take care of a loved one. You go through the retirement process, but unfortunately you're not really paying attention. You gotta get with someone that's gonna help pay attention. No, that's not a shameless plug for us. It could be somebody else. It could be someone that really understands the benefit system, but you really gotta have someone else watching out, because you only have a limited time after your pension is adjudicated, after it's finalized by OPM, to go and appeal it in case there's a mistake, and you really gotta be watching out for those things. So there's a couple of really important things to be thinking about so that you can get the most out of your benefits, and more importantly, you can get the pension you're supposed to get in retirement time. I hope this video has been a benefit to you. If you have a question or a comment about your federal benefits that you need help fact checking or getting an answer to, scroll down and send it to us, and maybe your question can be featured in the FERS Federal Fact Check. I'm Micah, and happy planning.